Hi, everyone. This is Shayla with Resplendence Language Arts. Today, we have a very, very special guest for our New Year's Eve program, which is Bek Marshall with Truck with
Going
Bek.
on.
With Truck with Bek, and she's a water strategist. And so we're going to hear about her background, what she's doing on the continent, and how Resplendence is helping her, helping that is current, not helped past tense, helping her
Helping.
in her
Yes.
endeavors. So I'll give you the floor. Tell me about your background. It's a beautiful background. You're highly educated. So I want you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for the invite. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome.
My background, let's talk about where I'm from. So I'm from Plant City, Florida. And what's interesting about that location is that it is agriculture, but a little bit of hood. I was raised in public
Little
housing,
bit.
so I have that just a little bit. So I have that combination
You know,
of
though.
being, I call
You
it
know,
hood hood and country. But it really plays into my background of how I got involved in environmental science and also in water quality and treatment. I did my undergrad study at the University of South Florida, that's in Tampa, where I conducted research on water security, bioterrorism projects, agroterrorism. And that pretty much is how do you secure a system from attacks. So I did some research in undergrad on that and also on environmental policy and water. And so a lot of background in the environmental area, water area, and sustainability. I went to University of Florida. I studied wetlands and water resource management. And I worked for the government for a while, a decade plus. And that's when I got trained by pretty much all the agencies, from like the environmental protection, um, FDA, Food and Drug Administration, Department of Ag, just pretty much all of them. And I also have a background in food and water and environment, so I combine it together. But I don't want to overgo. I just wanted to make sure you got that information. So now I get to serve as a eco and water solution strategist and work on various different projects in the United States and as you indicated in Africa and throughout the African diaspora.
so the interesting thing is obviously that it's not too many people, especially women of color. Y'all know I got a kid who, who
Hey,
I know she
she's
wants to be
representing.
on live
She
today.
giving her background. It's
She
her turn.
is.
So
You ain't
she,
lie. She's telling you her origin story, okay? But there's not too many
I
people,
love
women
it.
of color in particular, who have your background. How do you stand out because of obviously the lack of diversity within this field?
Well, I think that it's both. I could say positive and both a challenge because on one end, individuals want to especially, and I'll give a shout out to black men because black men definitely when they see us they'll say like, yo, I want you to do this and do that. They want to give you opportunities, so I greatly appreciate that. But then on the flip side, you are challenged. So I learned how to be really resilient and really be confident in what I know, and I think that's the huge challenge is that you are going to have to know how to stand up for yourself and have the power over your voice and your genius.
Awesome. That's awesome. And what you're doing right now, tell everyone kind of what you're doing before we get into resplendence and how we're helping. But I just want to hear like what you're doing. What's going to be your 2021 goals that you have set for yourself in your organization? Well, your company at
I,
Young.
Absolutely. So with my company is an eco company, and what I do is I have two different platforms which I use in order to have more of a personal professional connection. Because I know, as we mentioned, being a black woman, you also have to people have to get to know you a little bit on the personal side before they really connect. Just because you are kind of odd in that space, so I have two different platforms. One is called Eco Savvy Beck, and the focus is on Florida. So I deal with Florida ecosystem, what's going on in Florida as far as water and things like that. And then I have the Trek with Beck project. Now the Trek with Beck project, people lean in more a little bit to that one because I focus on the African diaspora, And how I get my projects is I'm part of different global networks. And so that is a lot of Black women who have their own consulting firm. And then from there, they could be engineers. They bring me on for a project. So it's a lot of collaboration that's done in order to get this work done for the Tread with Bek project. And so I'll highlight the Tread with Bek project. What's going on right now is that I serve as a consultant, number one. Number two, I serve as a strategist, and I can go into a little bit detail what that is. A strategist is that individuals contact me and I'm strategizing to get them connected to other people, to get them whatever they're needing for a particular project. And third, as an instructor, so I create my own courses, I create training, what's ever needed, so we can get a goal accomplished when it comes to whether it be environmental, water, agriculture, or what have you. So for me, I stay very busy. Nevertheless, it's very project oriented. So it's very project oriented, and I usually get a couple projects per year, and then from there, I'm creating courses, teaching, or strategizing and working with women. For the most part, I work with a lot of Black women. That's like I could say the majority of my clientele who have projects and work for me.
Excellent. And would you say that with your work, are you more likely to be on, say, West Africa or, say, East Africa? Where's kind of like your basis, if that's such a thing?
It's I want to say it's all over. It could be all over, but West Africa and East Africa are my focus. So when I'm interacting with West Africa, it's Ghana because we have a lot of diasporans there, and then we also have Senegal, which also is growing with diasporans. So for my Tread with Bek project, I primarily work with diasporans. I serve as like the middle point. So whatever's going on, if they are doing an eco village or they are doing something with a water system or what have you, they may have someone on the ground that they have working on that project. Nevertheless, if they have questions or they just want me to double check things, that's when I get more into a virtual consultation and look at the system or look at whatever they need me to look at, and then provide whatever input they need. When we're dealing with East Africa, and that's where Resplendence comes in, as you know, I'm growing into understanding what their issues are and how I can be of assistance. And so that is really, I think, going to emerge more in 2021, probably mid 2021, as I get more networks and know what they need.
And what is some of your 2021 goals in East Africa?
In East Africa, okay, so for East Africa, it's really to grow the global network. I think what's going to be very beneficial when it comes to individuals like myself who have a science background, engineering, is that more global networks are established which focus on Pan-African STEM. That is going to be really key in making sure that we stay on the forefront of things. Right now, when you look at different companies come in and use our intellect and genius all the time. I think it's beneficial for us to come together. We have our own companies, or even if you're part time or what have you, forming these global networks so that you don't have to be everything. Because sometimes I have to be everything on a project. I have to understand the engineering and the science behind it, and do a lot of math, which math is cool, but I'm not in love with it. But you have to do a lot. So what global networks allow you to do is that I can just be a trained environmental scientist and I can get an individual who's an engineer and I can contact them. And that has been working well. So with Tanzania and Kenya, what I do with, like I did with Ghana and Senegal, is I connect with the universities. I connect with educational institutions, and I like to see what their students are doing. If I have a project and I think that their students could benefit from it, I will invite them on that project. If there's one that's going on in the States with my alma mater, which is University of South Florida, University of Florida, I invite them also to connect. I think that's going to just be the future. And I already see now that is just amazing when we come together to work on a project. Like so many different cultural language barriers, so many different stereotypes that we have. Like we get to work through all of that just by maybe designing a water system. So it's really great. So Tanzania and Kenya, just growing my networks, and that's what's key. I think that's what's key, no matter what field you're in.
And you're absolutely right. Our footprint from the diasporans are growing was already there in Ghana, but it's growing in Sierra Leone, in Senegal, and the Gambia, and in East Africa, we've been growing our footprints, and Tanzania is a big one right now. And then you have some pouring into, like, say, Kenya and also Rwanda and Uganda. So I think in 2021, we all need to make it a purpose of ours to just lean in and to better connect with existing services, with existing students, with existing organizations, that we can help fortify some of these basic sustainabilities, and obviously what you do is to help with people understanding water, different type of elements of water. So let's get into that part. So when you say water strategist, what exactly, let's say if you're in a tribe, in Tanzania and Arusha, wherever you might be, what exactly are you doing so the audience knows exactly, what
Absolutely.
you do, how you can work with them?
Okay, so the first, why I call it being more of an eco and water solution strategist is because, like I said, basically being a Black woman, you're going to have to be strategic all across the board. And so the thing that I would do, let's say if I went to a village, and let's do an example. Let's say they needed a water system. So what I have to do is, when I say be strategic, is I have to understand what language they speak. I have to understand how they're using their water now, like what's their main source going on right now, where that's coming from. Potentially know the water quality of it, and the water quality is assessing the contaminants. Do we have biological contaminants? They have chemical contaminants. Are they near mining? Some are near mining, and they have mining particles and things like that. And so you got the water quality side, where I have to come in and know that type of side. And that's where my science comes into the background. And then when it comes to water quality, also, are individuals getting sick with this particular water? Have they had issues? That's where my environmental health side comes into. And then next, we're looking at policy. And policy is not necessarily the big government. It could be, they could have their own little, their council, they could have what have you, where rules and regulations. And so what I would do is I piece all that together. And let's say if they wanted a water system, then from there, I would have that information, and then I would get with a engineer to really hone in what kind of system may be best for them. And then the network again, how are we going to build this system, or what have you. And with myself, sometimes I just work at the beginning, getting the community connected, understanding what they need, and then someone else can come in, because I'm more of a, I want to say, I'm more social than probably most scientists are. So I'm able to kind of break I can be an icebreaker and get everyone on board. And plus, because I have a background in policy and health, and also science, and also conflict resolution, I can bring all that to the table and kind of get us fast forward to actually just the system. And so it's really about, if an individual have a problem with the system, letting me know what the problem is, and maybe I can fix that. Or that's when I tap into my global network and see what they can do. And if you have like a water quality report, like I said, where you're concerned about certain contaminants and what can be the impact, then I can do that also. So it's really, that's why I say it's more strategist, because I have different expertise in different areas. So I bring that all to the table and see what intensity I have to use those things.
And with your network of professionals, say if the water quality comes up impure or not on the great part of the scale, do you have access to provide that homeowner or that landowner the opportunity to connect with other professionals to correct the issue?
Yes, I do. And that's where I continue to grow the network, because when you're dealing with Africa, even if you're dealing in America, you still have to continuously get that network established. And so if, let's say, let's give an example. Let's say if it was someone in Tanzania, I like to say both. Um, if there is someone, let's say it's one of, individual with aspirin, and they had a water issue. So I would see what the water issue would be, and then from there, um, I could at least, what I do sometimes, if I don't have that, I can give them a checklist of what the ideal process would be. And so at least they're equipped with that knowledge, and they have a checklist, and they know what to ask for. They know what, and so that's something I do, is I can at least give you a checklist and let you know, if you're going to hire a professional, what they need to be able to provide for you. And so I think that's become more beneficial, especially during this pandemic season we have here, is to, if I'm not there, let me tell you what your professional should be able to do, and let me tell you what things generally cost. And that brings a level of calm, because they feel like they're empowered now, that they have what they need, and they know the terminology. So that's how I balance both. If I can't do it myself, my network, then I will go ahead and create like a checklist, a few pages, even if I have to draw diagrams, so that client can be equipped and be very confident. I like them to be confident and clear and ready to engage and collaborate.
Excellent. I know, obviously, working on the continent, there are areas opportunity, as there are with any large continent or country or any body of where the people dwell. But particularly, let's say in Tanzania, right? Or it could be in Ghana. It doesn't matter the where in Africa. But here's the question. So, some places that you may go to, they may not. We talked about this off camera, so I'm trying to bring it back. Where one house might be on a different piping system than, say, another property may be on a different piping system. So are there maps in the areas that you worked in? Are there maps to let you and your team of professionals know how the piping system is in the area? And if they don't have a piping system, how do you figure that part out?
Okay, absolutely. For some they do, for some they do not. And so that's why I call myself a strategist, because I have to strategize a lot and think up things. So the key thing is to, and I use this especially with different African countries, is to respect the community who's there. They have a knowledge of the systems, they have a knowledge of things. So I'm all about first showing respect to who's ever there. I focus on that first and see what information they have. What's interesting a lot of times when it comes to different African countries is that outside of Africa, foreign countries come in and they are over the infrastructure. And they don't always provide the necessary information that they should, because they take control of it. So that is what I run into sometimes throughout my work, is that it's another country who is over a certain area and they are over it, and you have to kind of go through them. So that is the challenges, I would say, doing environmental work, is that you have a lot of different stakeholders and a lot of different players going on here, and trying to see who's who and how you can get things done. Some do have that information and some do not. And you definitely have to be strategic and very patient with that process.
Excellent, excellent. Because that was, an off-camera question I had for you some time ago. Because I was like, well, what happens when the piping is different? Because everything is obviously not what we've experienced here in, let's say, the United States, right? And even here, it can be issues with pipings and whatnot.
That's true.
So, and I like what you said in terms of respect. And I think in Swahili, respect is heshima. So we're going to move into that area of the conversation. How is Resplendence helping you learn Swahili, Dada?
Absolutely. So I want to say Resplendence is really amazing, and I'm going to say it because I've been studying language for a long time. I've been studying languages, I want to say since high school. In high school, I started taking a lot of Spanish courses and things like that. So when it comes to languages, I knew I wanted to do this work. So I've been through a lot of different classes, a lot of different courses. I think what sets Resplendence apart is just the professors. They care. Like they want you to speak the language. They want you to understand the culture. Um, Sometimes I try to think of questions because they're like, hey, I'm here. I got you. If you have questions, let me know. I feel bad sometimes. I don't have questions. Like, man, am I really in it? But I want to say, as far as Resplendence, using those, being just able to connect with those professors who are actually, they're in those countries, so you can ask questions. So with the professors, the professors that have an opportunity to connect with, you can ask them real questions. They have real questions, and they'll answer those questions also. And I really like also the colloquial, the local language, the nuances. I think that is so important, and some language programs miss that. They teach you sentence structure and all these things, but they don't teach you culture. They don't teach you about cultural dishes. They don't teach you about, nuances, shaking hands or saying this and what's done. They'll tell you this is what's the proper way, the proper way to say this, but this is how we say it. So I think that those levels just make it a comprehensive program, which of course, I look forward to taking some more courses, just because I had just a great time. We had a great time. I mean, it was even also that it wasn't boring. It was a great time. The stuff we learned, you can apply it. And so well, good job to
Thanks. And
Resplendence.
obviously, I'm learning Swahili too. So, not only am I part of the organization, I'm a part of the actual class. And like what you said was important to me is to have a really authentic relationship with the language, right? And in order to do that, you really have to have someone who's on the ground. Like, it's really difficult to learn a language and the person you're learning it from hasn't been there in 30 years. They know nothing about the culture. They know nothing about the people. So they, like you said, they're giving you a blueprint. But if you plan to actually do work on a continent, you need something a little bit more detailed than say a blueprint. And I'll say this: I won't say the actual name, but there's an app that starts with a D that a lot of people use, and I use it too. Because at first I was like, I'm not going to use it. Let me just not use it. Let me just use what we're doing, right? But I was like, well, you know what? Let me try the app with the D in the beginnings and the O. But yeah, and I noticed that exactly what you said. Like, it's definitely not for us. It can give you some vocabulary, and you can learn. It just feels very generic and rough around the edges. And that's one thing in a virtual setting, that it can be that way. It can be very rough in a virtual setting, but I think we did, not to pat myself on the back, or not me, it's actually the teachers, but to pat them on the back, I do believe Veronica and Hamisi did an excellent job.
Absolutely.
Yeah, extending like proper etiquette too, because the one thing that I didn't even know, obviously, because I'm learning like you, was the importance of a hello and a handshake. Like when Hamisi said a handshake can go on for like minutes. That's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
how are you? How's your mom? How's everything? Like, I didn't know that. So, and when we go to, say Tanzania or Kenya, we have to expect that. And if you're only on the app with that starts with a D and end with the O, you're not going to know that. You're
No,
not
you're
going
not.
to.
You definitely need that. Like I said, what the we did, of course we did the Zoom, and it was, like I said, I just think it's the platform, the outline, how things are done is very great. And like I said, the key thing is that they're in those countries right now. They can tell you what's going on right now, and you feel more connected. You feel like, especially if you're going to visit that country or plan to live in that country, it gives you such a I think a great head start, because you can ask other questions. I know what Himisi asked him about please send me some online radio stations and some other stuff. So he gave me things that they, him and his friends or family listen to. And so that just, it makes you already feel like when you go there, at least you'll have something uh, to, that you could talk about, or you can have a radio station or whatever. And those little things, when you're when you're trying to deal with being somewhere that is foreign to you at that time, are really key. They're really important.
Hmm. It's almost like having not a surrogate. That's not what I'm trying to say. But it's essentially like if you go to a host family. That's what I'm trying to say. So, like,
Absolutely,
for
that's what it's like.
example, yeah. So, like, when I went to Tanzania or Tanzania, how people pronounce. I don't know. I give up. I give up.
It's
Honestly,
all respect. It's all respect.
it's
I
all
don't.
respect. I
People give
respect
me
all
people
of
give me different ones, so I try to say them all. Much respect.
it. But Hamisi, he met me at the airport. He was talking for me, negotiating for me, and I know with our students, he'll do the same, right? Which he'll meet you, he'll help you as much as he can, and I really like that a lot. And then, of course, we did a lot of. So I think what makes us a little bit different too is that we've been connecting with. How do you say, like, other organizations. It could be diasporans who live there currently, but we have been connecting with them and bringing forth an opportunity for our students to actually have another set of network, right? So I think the last one we did was with Nikki.
Yes.
She has a travel org, and she came and talked with us too. So that's another layer. She's in Kenya, but again, our class was for people who speak Swahili, so not just Tanzania. And so she was
Oh
able to
yeah.
talk to you guys about, like, some things about Kenya from someone who's not from, Kenya, but who has lived there for quite some time. So I appreciate that. We plan to have another class coming up. If you guys can see in your ticker, the Swahili class is coming up again right after New Year. I want to say January the 9th. It should be coming up.
Okay.
So that's right around the corner. So yeah, I got to get you the new info on IL and BL2. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's coming up very soon on January 9th, everyone. And we're probably going to end the conversation very soon. This is a really brief, conversation, learning what you
Yes.
do. And
I'll be back. Like I said, I can definitely come back. Yeah, I can definitely come back, and especially I would like to share with you probably when I'm actually doing a project, so people can know. And that's what's important. So for who's ever tuned in, who check it out, replay, ecosavvybeck.com and shredwithbeck.com. And I'm going to invite you to sign up to something called Access Granted. It's free. I just get your email, and then that's how you can know more in depth about what I do, some of the free courses I offer, and all those things that are really important. Live streams, webinars, have access to that, because it's very important that you have access. And social media is fantastic, but sometimes you don't have time to search through all the social media. So I put it in one place where I probably will talk about, more about my background, talk more about some topics that are going on. And I think it's going to be very beneficial for those who are in African diaspora to
Yeah.
have that all in one place. Like I said, just your email, and then from there, I'm updating it now. So I'm steadily updating it, and it should be good to go during my Ask Bek Wednesday. I want to plug that real quick. Every
Yeah, plug
first
it.
and
Plug
third,
it.
yeah, every first and third Wednesday on my Eco Savvy Bek social media platform, my Facebook, Instagram, and on my Trek with Bek platform, that's Facebook and Instagram. I take your questions. It also gives the interns that connect with me, it gives them an opportunity to see what real world questions are out there. So definitely every first and third Wednesday, check in, tap in, and if you have your questions, that's the way for you to get an answer. Yes, that's the way to get an answer. Yes, that's the way to get an answer for free 99. So that's important. You can get an answer for free 99. We try to do our best, but most importantly with that is that it gives interns an opportunity to say that they help with solution seeking. I'm trying to get our scholars to really bolster up their resume and have opportunities to be solving and addressing real world questions. I think that's going to be, it works well for them to have that access.
Yeah, and I don't think people really know how extremely important you are. And so let me just put it in perspective, okay? Especially someone from me, I come from both an education background and real estate. And when you're buying a house, sorry, I have a kid. When you're buying a house overseas, or just if you're going to be taking over land, you definitely want to understand if the water's sweet, like what is the situation with the water. So when you're in a situation, you definitely reach out to Bek, because she is going to help you, and she's a great person to have in your back pocket.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And also for those, like I said, who are interested in STEM, especially Pan-African STEM, and it's majority, just keeping it real, majority Black scholars, especially Black women scholars, and Black women professionals and Black women stakeholders. And that's, like I said, they're just who gravitated towards me. So that is great to check out Trek with Bek and Eco Savvy Bek, and check those out. Connect with me. I'm cool, laid back, chill. Like I said, I'm hood and country.
You really are. You really are laid back and chill. That's that. What energy is that? That Capricorn energy.
That's Capricorn energy all day. But my main thing is this: growing up, I didn't have anyone I could ask questions, especially when it came to science. I had no one. So I don't want, especially our Black teen girls, to fall into that, or Black women collegiate scholars, or even those who are professionals in other areas. They should have access, and they can be able to ask me questions. So that's why I say it's important to ask Bek Wednesday, but also the access granted. Go ahead and give me that email, and then you're going to get access to some really, really amazing things that I'm not going to share on social media, because I really want to connect with individuals who are really serious about things. This is really going forward in 2021. We have an opportunity to really reset some things, readjust some things, and be in charge of our genius, and own our genius, and own so many different things when it comes to moving forward. So individuals like myself, we're out there. We're coming together to on the science, tech, and engineering mathematics front, and we're inviting others to network with us, even if they don't have any interest in STEM, because we can still refer each other to different clients and just provide information that's needed. So we really need to capitalize on that, and just appreciate that moving forward. And that's all I got, because we keep talking forever.
We keep talking forever. I really, in closing, I really do think we need to have like a hub of where all this information. I was talking to Susan with African Daily News about that. Like, we need to have a hub where all of this is held at, so people know where to go to, and they just not pulling at different places, and it's just chaos, But with that being said,
that's a goal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a goal. The goal for me. Yeah, the goal for me is the data. The goal for me, of course, is database, but it's how we use it. So with the Trek with Bek, I have a database, but it's kind of limited because I have access to it. But nevertheless, we need to continuously network with each other and share our database and share our information, because there are a whole bunch of me's out there, especially in Africa, different African countries, but they're not connected, or they're not even given the information on how they can be a consultant, independent consultant. They don't necessarily have to work for a company. So it's 2021. We're going to keep pushing forward, and I'm going to say it's going to be amazing. I hope it's amazing for you. Hope it's amazing for whoever is listening.
I hope it's amazing too. So I wish you the very, very best and special New Year's Eve, New Year's Day in 2021. I hope I have to see you on a continent. I hope.
We should, right? You're going to Tanzania. I have a plan to go to Tanzania and both Kenya. So we just have to cross our calendars.
Cross that border. That's all.
Yeah, we got to cross the border, cross the calendars. But I definitely, we're going to stay in touch, because it would be great to have us both, on the ground at the same time, and just seeing how we can connect and what we can do to positively impact communities.
Excellent. So I want everyone to use the word, like from Clubhouse, tap in. Tap in. with Bek, and make sure you reach out to her with Truck with Bek. Thank you so much, Bek. I love you. You know I love you,
Thank
Dada.
you. Much love.
Oh my brother.
Peace, Dada.
Bye bye. Peace.
Peace.